I love Phineas and Ferb. This was a great Disney show.
To be honest, I think it's my favorite Disney show, not being a huge Disney fan, especially in the modern days, but we're not going to talk about that today. It was a great show, one of the best Disney shows, but granted, Disney shows were a lot better back in the day when they actually had good writing, good humor, good characters. It got its own movie, and the show ended in the year
2015, June 12th. The show had officially ended, and there was no more Phineas and Ferb. Until the early Disney Plus days, where they were trying to build up their platform, and one of the original projects they wanted to do for Disney Plus was a second Phineas and Ferb movie. And of course, the movie was made, released back in 2020, and I was kind of excited for this movie. Like, a way to go back to Phineas and Ferb? How amazing! Then the movie came out itself, and it's a movie. That's what I'm here to talk about today. Is the second Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe. Wait, hold on, I'm getting a call. Hello? Oh, L to C. What do you mean I better not do this review without you? What's that supposed to mean? Alright, fine. Okay, LC's gonna be joining us. Cue the intro.
Welcome back to the video, and today we have your handsome host, D to the B, and the decent looking guy, L to the C right here. I'm joking, of course. So, as I said in the beginning of the video, we are going to review the movie known as Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe. So, we better get our thoughts on the movie ahead before we actually talk about the plot and all the jokes and all that. For me, I thought the movie was fine. Is it a great movie? No. Is Second Dimension better? Yes. Like, it's an alright movie, but in continuity-wise, it really is confusing. It's something that a big portion of the Phineas and Ferb fan base agree with is, where does this take place? Like, how could you fit this in with all the stuff that happened in season 4? I wish they would have been more specific where this took place, where it was actually kind of believable that this happened at the same time. It was a meh movie. Would I go back to it immediately like I would Second Dimension? Probably not, but that's just my thoughts. L to the C, how about you?
It was decent. Let's put it that. It wasn't the best. I still prefer Second Dimension. Granted, I grew up with watching Phineas and Ferb, obviously, and of course the Second Dimension movie of Phineas and Ferb. But this one did not interest me. I thought Candace was annoying during the Phineas and Ferb cartoon. She was even more annoying than this one.
A little bit, yeah. She was a little bit more annoying than usual. Granted, I've grown on the character of Candace a little bit since I'm older now. Originally, younger me could not stand her.
I'm 50-50 on Candace still.
Oh yeah, there are definitely better characters in Phineas and Ferb.
I like Vanessa Doofenshmirtz.
Oh yeah, she's a good character.
But of course, I still think my favorite is still Perry.
Yeah, Perry's a good character. So, I thought it was a meh movie and you weren't really that invested in the movie.
No, I watched the whole thing through. I thought it'd get better, but to me, it got worse.
Yeah. Well, since we got our individual opinions out of the way, we might as well get started with the movie. So the movie opens up with an introduction of Candace singing about how it's a beautiful day, and she constantly goes back and forth between all the stuff that Phineas and Ferb are doing and her peaceful song. This moment to me was a little funny. Like her just going chill and then just going all rock and roll as all the things. Like it was something definitely funny and Candace would do. And then she arrives at her house where Phineas and Ferb have made another object.
Another invention.
Well, yeah, another invention. And we do the usual antic that Candace is trying to get her mom over here. And then her mom comes over here and then the item disappears.
And Candace fails again.
You know, the usual Phineas and Ferb stick. And what made it different this time was Candace was complaining that everyone's summer was fun except hers. And then she runs off and Phineas and Ferb are like, we figured that Candace was enjoying summer like the rest of us, and they think because of how good brothers they are, they would do something to make it up to her. And then we transition back to Candace where Vanessa meets up with her, and we do get a little bit of a funny moment. Say what you want about the song All to the Sea, but I kind of find it funny they break in the song randomly, and then in the end of the joke, Vanessa's like, wait, where'd this guitar come from? And just tosses it.
That joke was probably the only joke that made me laugh.
Like, yeah, that was funny. And Vanessa tries to explain that it's not her brother's fault, and it's not the universe. And then a mysterious item, which Candace assumes is an invention by Phineas and Ferb, she starts attacking it, I would say. And she thinks it's a giant waffle maker where the thing eventually abducts her. And Phineas and Ferb at the same time are there with her gift. And yeah. And then Phineas and Ferb have to go save Candace from this system, which I forgot. It's like Durbuk, or something like that. And we get on the ship that she was abducted by. And this sequence is alright. I will say it's a little bit funny with the escape pods, a little. Like, where they all launch, like, that's definitely that's something the old Phineas and Ferb would have done. And show how stupid these aliens are. Which we'll get into aliens a little bit later in the movie. And then Phineas and Ferb, and Baljeet and Isabella and Buford develop a portal. Now, I don't care what you say, Al, to see. This is another good joke. So when Baljeet is going through all the different scenarios, my favorite part out of all of those scenarios is, or we can travel to a reality where robots are taking over and we sacrifice Buford to the robots. What? That was funny. That was really funny.
That's the second joke that made me laugh.
And then they go through the portal where they enter Doofenshmirtz's lair, where of course Baljeet thinks that it's the reality where they face robots and starts to sacrifice Buford. And then we meet Doofenshmirtz and we already have a problem. Because in the continuity of Phineas and Ferb Season 4, at some point Doofenshmirtz had met the gang. But in this movie, it's like they don't even know Doofenshmirtz in the movie. Not even Buford. Like, Buford doesn't even remember him. Do you remember that one episode where Buford and Doofenshmirtz combined forces? And then in the end, he leaves Doofenshmirtz?
Yeah, this is where he's saying there's a bully-sized hole in my heart.
Yeah.
That I can't remember what season it was, but I know it was one of the seasons.
Yeah, like, that made no sense. Of course, I did think about this a little bit. Maybe that memory could have been wiped in Second Dimension. It depends when that episode takes place. That's the only way I can justify it. But at the same time, how does Buford forget? Like, You could have had Buford like, oh wait, this is Doofenshmirtz. I hung out with this guy one time after Baljeet was fed up with me. You know, that one adventure with the mountain turning into his face with the neck thing? Yeah, good times. He could have went like that. Like, but Buford is just clueless about how he is. Like, what's happening? You should know this guy.
This is what happens when you let new writers come in. They know nothing about the shows that we grew up with. Then when they say it, they want to start.
I think the original writer was one of the original writers was involved with it. I don't think it was both of them, but I think it was definitely one of them.
But like I said, a lot of the stuff that Disney has made, to me, I have not enjoyed. And
yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. Okay, first of all, they met during the Phinas and Ferb show. So basically, what was kind of dumb at this point, even though they did get I think they got their memory wiped in Second Dimension, but Doofenshmirtz and Buford should have known each other. I'm sorry, that's bye.
Yeah, like, unless if you could excuse that with that memory being erased too, he should still know who Doofenshmirtz is, and Doofenshmirtz should also remember, even if it's not like right away, and Doofenshmirtz is like, oh yeah, you totally left me, or something like that. Like anything. So then Doofenshmirtz goes through his innators, and they use the space traveling innator or something like that, which is just a rocket. And they take off, and Doofenshmirtz destroys the heck out of his place, which was kind of funny. Like, you didn't think that through. So then we transition back to the planet after the escape pods escape, and the escape pods land back onto the home world, which is inconvenient for Vanessa, and she makes the joke, who makes escape pods that travel to the place you're escaping from? Which is actually a good question. So then we see Candace being taken by the aliens, and they do like a whole dance routine, and that even the aliens are sick of the dance routine at this point. Like, the end is like, oh, whatever. Beep! That was a little bit funny. And then we eventually meet the main villain of the movie. I forget her name. How do I describe her? She's a alright villain. Like, they could have definitely made someone a bit better in this movie. It doesn't even have to be Doofenshmirtz, just someone different. Like, it's fine to have different villains. Like, Doofenshmirtz was technically the villain of Second Dimension, but this villain isn't really that interesting. Like, I guess the only interesting thing about this villain is she has a lot in common with Candace, and that's about it. And she has this world where her brothers are dealt with, and the whole world praises her. And Candace accepts this new life in a way and stuff. It's just something. Anyway, we're continuing on. We go back to the gang, and they are traveling where they are heading to an ion beam, which Baljeet's like, does this ship have a cloaking system or something like that? And Doofenshmirtz is like, no. And Baljeet's just saying that was a dumb idea because the ship is going to go into chaos. And then the ship goes into chaos. And they use this thing from Space Adventure to escape. They land on the planet. Also, Perry's there. I forgot to mention Perry's in this movie. We saw him in the beginning before the invention disappeared as usual, and then Monogram sends him on a mission to save Candace, but he can't interfere and let his family know that he's a secret agent, because if you saw Second Dimension, you know why. And he's doing all this stuff in the background. And once they land on the planet, we get a little bit of a funny joke, but at the same time, I felt like they stretched it out too long. Like, it's the moments where they look at the building and there's ominous music, then they look away, it's gone. Like, it was funny, but I felt like that joke was stretched out. Like, at a certain point, I'm like, okay, this isn't funny anymore. Like, it just kept going.
It's like it went from funny to like.
Why? You could have done it like maybe like 3 times, and then, end the joke there. But you kept going after that. I think they did it like 6 or 7 times, and the joke got stale eventually. Anyway, then we get another song about who should lead Isabella or Doofenshmirtz. And eventually Doofenshmirtz is picked as the leader. I don't know who I want. A little child or Doofenshmirtz? Yes, all the sea.
Make it Perry.
That would be cool.
Perry the Platypus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't talk, but he's a better leader.
Yeah. And they go around. Then we transition back to Candace, and she's enjoying her life. Kind of something similar to the Mars episode in Phineas and Ferb.
Or she went on Mars?
Yeah. With the portal and the Queen of Mars song and all that. My favorite part of the episode is the ending, where Doofenshmirtz thinks that they're gonna make him king, and then they choose the volcano. It's like, oh, come on! And we also discover a detail about the aliens. When they get overexcited, they blow up, and they're like Darth Maul. Where, well, not exactly like Darth Maul. At least Darth Maul kept his torso and not be a pair of legs. Well, that would have been hard to explain how he came back to life.
No, that'd be terrifying.
But yeah, we continue on. Well, this is it for part 1 of Candace Against the Universe review. I'm going to be splitting the second part, or putting the second part on L to the C's channel, so here's a dramatic intro. Will D to the B manage to finish the review of this mad movie at best? Will L to the C actually like this movie? Find out in part 2 on the L to the C YouTube channel.